So we're gonna take a little walk. I was gonna go live on YouTube or TikTok, but I still may do that, man. The last time I went live on TikTok and I was walking, they shut me down. So I don't know. But anyway, we'll walk about 7 miles. So tell you what. All right, let's see where we at. I have on my Chucks and got on some all black swim trunks. I like to wear all black swimming trunks because as a little boy, one of my favorite people on earth, he wore all black trunks. So it's like the color of a champion, you know. And we're about the same pigment, so shout out to Iron Mike. Got a 16-ounce bottle of water and a nana for the road, and I've been holding this bottle of water and this banana. So I think what I'm gonna do is tuck that bottle of water and I'm gonna work on this nana. And man, that sucker is good, boy. Haven't really eaten a lot today. But yesterday I ate like a glutton. So I'm walking from Gretna to Westwego. And that's all I gotta say about that. What movie was that? Collarbone is healing in the most painful position to heal in. That ain't cool. Thursday is my appointment. Oh, man. You know, I've been patient this whole process because I brought this on myself. But I am looking for some relief. Very much. I'm not going to try to walk through the tunnel. So I think I'm going to take the 4th Street. The 4th Street, let me cross this street, man. That way if somebody try to hit me, at least I'll see it coming. Right down the pipeline. Man. Mei-Ling. Yeah, I was about to say that. So, and I'm just gonna say this because, you know, I think it needs to be said, but growing up, you know, my dad, he was LE my whole life, still is. And he raised his kids in reality, you know? And so I gotta figure out what kind of bird this is up here, man. Man, that sucker looked like he about it. What's up, brother? You know what kind of bird that is? I don't know, bruh. He looked like a hawk. Yeah, he looked like a hawk. But I don't know if it's a female or what. But he looked like he'll handle his business too. Have a good one, bro. Sound like they got a flat tire. Yeah, so Pops raised us in reality, you know? and he taught us about how cruel the world really is, and about how dangerous it really is, and about how you don't deserve nothing, so don't expect nothing. You got to earn everything you get, and you got to work for it to earn it. That was Pops, you know. Tell you a little story right quick. Man, my best friend coming up, Tyree, you know, best friend coming up, and we had a lot that we like to do, you know, and we had, look, this was, let me not get off subject. So anyway, his daddy was a tugboat captain, and I told y'all about Stanton a few times, but he was a tugboat captain, and so I don't know how much of money they made, you know. I don't know if he had to pay for lunch or what. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so one day Tyree tells me, he like, man, he said, bruh, my daddy gave me like $5 for every bee I had, and like $10 for every 8, something like that, you know. Something like that, right? How y'all doing? They good? For sure. Where y'all got them from? Where y'all got them from? Oh yeah, they fire. All right, y'all take care, boo. They eating some crawfish on the porch. Manhattan Seafood, they've been cooking excellent crawfish for over 20 years. So Tyree asked his dad, so Tyree dad paid him for good grades in school. Now my dad had 5 kids, you know what I'm saying? LE, salary, or as they say down, yeah, salary. And I'm like, Pops, Tyree daddy paying him for making good grades. I said, you think I could get something for my C and my B? I ain't gonna tell you what my dad told me. You know what I'm saying? But it went something like this. Boy, I'm not paying you anything for doing what you're supposed to do. You know? And I'm not gonna lie, man. As a kid, I was like, dang, you know? So I kind of felt like, I kind of saw a difference in how people get raised. You know, Tyree was in a different situation. Stanton and Thelma, different situation, taking care of Tyree. So for me, it was like my mom's and pop, different situation. On top of that, I knew my pops wasn't making crazy money, you know what I mean? So it was all right, you know? Now before that, I was in the 1st grade, and I come from a musician family, you know, a music family. And I wanted to play the saxophone, you know? So, so it's another one of these stories. I walk up to my pops. I'm like, Dad. He like, yeah, son. I said, look, man, I want to get in a band at school, and I want to play the saxophone. So, like any good father, he said, how much a saxophone costs? Now we talking about back in the 80s, man. You know what I'm saying? I was born in 81, so we talking about 85, 86, you know? He said, how much a saxophone costs? I'm like, $300. I ain't gonna tell you what he told me, but he told me something like this. No. You know, but sometimes I often think about my life, and I wonder if he would have bought me that saxophone, would I have picked it up and put it down, or would I have picked it up and stuck with it and made a name for myself in the music business playing that saxophone? Or would me playing that saxophone had led me to an early grave at one of them New Orleans second lines. Or what playing that saxophone had led me to a lifestyle where I'm strung out on dope, I'm strung out on liquor, I'm strung out on all other addictive things, you know? Would I have cancer at 43 from playing in all those nightclubs where people smoke at, you know? So I think about that saxophone a lot, you know, and that's just the thing about life, man. You reflect on moments and on things that happen. It's a little short of the cross, right? Look, how you like that? A syringe, man. They got a diabetic out here without a syringe because some crackhead stole it. Anyway, so I think about my life oftentimes in that saxophone and how things would have worked out had, you know, I got it. Or would that have led to other problems? Like some of my cousins, you know, Miss Mo. I want to talk about Miss Mo in a little bit. But anyway, some of my cousins, they got BB guns, you know, they were bigger than us. And we used to look up to them because they were the bigger kids in the neighborhood, you know. So they ran things and they kept everybody in their place, you know. So, like my cousin Karan, I can honestly say, I think he was the reason, and I'm not talking about like genetically, but Karan was the reason I fell in love with the outdoors. Because this dude was always fishing. He was you know, like he was always in a ditch, you know. And I'm like, man, you know, I was smaller. My mama wasn't letting me do what Karan was doing, you know, but I was trying to. But I remember one day he came back with some perch, you know, like he was always up to something, crawfish. Like he was the first person that I remember that was an outdoorsman. You know, they got this guy on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. He's Hood Fishing TV, or Hood Fishing Entertainment, something like that. Well, Karan was straight up hood fishing before I even knew what that was, you know? And like, I really appreciated that, you know? And then Mr. Larry lived, you know, a few houses down from us. One day he had that 5-gallon bucket, and he said, come look in this bucket. Man, I tiptoed over there to that bucket. Boy, I seen them big old fish in there, but it didn't look like no fish, man. That sucker looked like straight snakes. So now that I'm a little bit older, I realized it was shoe pick. Man, he had them shoe pick in that bucket. Man, I'm still running in my mind. But I booked up out of there, cuz, you know. So Mr. Larry, now my dad's dad and my dad, that, you know, my dad grew up fishing. You know, when it wasn't hunting season, they fished every weekend. Delacroix, Hopedale, Shell Beach, Lakefront, Gulf of Mexico, excuse me, Gulf of America. Let me be politically correct. I don't want to get canceled. So my dad was a fisherman, and all my uncles, you know, straight fishermen. My grandfather, avid outdoorsman. So I got that in my blood, you know. Papa hunted, he fished, he lived that outdoor life, you know. So internally, it's in me and all my brothers and my sister. We all love to fish. You know, we all love to fish. It's in us, you know. I enjoy fishing and hunting. I tried to pass that on to my daughter. And you know, some of my friends that I hung out with. I know a lot of people ain't never caught a fish. And a lot of them have caught their first fish with me. You know, and it's always cool to turn somebody on to a way to feed themselves, to recreate, and to take care of their family as well as their community if need be by learning the art of fishing. So that's pretty cool. So Pops, you know, my dad was hardcore, man, still is. You know, like, he was a no-nonsense kind of guy. My grandfather was no-nonsense. His dad was no-nonsense. So we just kind of come from a line of no-nonsense kind of people. And sometimes, you know, people, they see you for 5 minutes. All right. They see you for 5 minutes and they think they know you, you know, or they see you for 5 minutes and they don't know the shoes you walked through for the last 35 or 40 years. You know, they don't know how you came up. I realized something. They had a teacher that took some peanut butter and rubbed it on a bag in class to explain to her students something about the way they were writing essays. So what I appreciated about that, I could tell she was a good teacher. What's up, Coach?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. I broke my collarbone.
How?
I wiped out right there by the Gretna Ferry. I broke the right side 2 years ago, same spot.
How did you wipe it? You went over the...
No, I was turning to come on down the ramp to hit Huey P, and I just leaned over a little too much. I was going too fast. But it was my fault, you know.
I hear you.
It was my fault. But I'm still at it. I'm riding 20 miles at the house every day.
Now, there you go.
I'm walking to West Wego right now, so that's going to be about a 7-mile walk.
What are you walking to West Wego?
I'm going to see my sister, but I'm pushing myself, you know. That's how I stay in it, you know.
Well, that's going to take you an hour and 15 minutes.
I'm going to try to do it in an hour or less.
You better hurry up before you get your car.
All right, Coach. Thanks. Good seeing you, brother. Yeah. So, dang. So yeah, Pops was just no nonsense. People don't know you. They don't walk in your shoes. You know, some people think I'm domineering or I talk sharp. I do. I'm very blunt, but you'll know where we stand. I'm very generous and helpful and giving. You'll know where we stand. I hate people who want to be smooth and sly and all that other stuff like that, man. Just be real, man. Just be real. If you're a no good son of a gun, be a no good son of a gun. And I'm gonna tell you why. It ain't gonna stop you from being who you are. If you're a con artist, be a con artist. It ain't gonna stop you from who you are. It ain't gonna stop you. But at least if you the way you are, some people will know how to deal with you better. You know, they'll know how to deal with you better. And oftentimes people want you to be what they want you to be. And that's not good enough for me. You know, I'm straight up 100%. You know, no days off. So for me, I'm a product of my environment. I'm a product of my environment, you know? I'm a product of my environment. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I ain't trying to be something I'm not. You know, what you see is what you get. Now there's areas I could improve in my life, and I'm a work in progress with that, but my dad didn't raise me to bite my tongue or to be fake. You know, if you're a good person, be a good person. Just be yourself. And too many people running around here trying to look like something they're not and be something they're not, you know? So that's where I'm at, you know? And I appreciate very much the fact that not trying to sugarcoat or hide or deceive, you know, I'm me. And I wake up every day, I look in the mirror at some point, and I'm cool with that. I'm me. So, be you, good, bad, or ugly. Because that way when people deal with you, they know what they're dealing with. And if you're a no good son of a gun, and people still want to deal with you, that's cool. They know who you are. You're not deceiving anybody. Tell you a little story, man. They have a restaurant in New Orleans on St. Claude. It's called Best Jerk House. And I love it, man. It's a great place. Best oxtails in the city. Shrimp tacos are... You already know how I feel about the shrimp tacos. You know, anyway, they do something with the community in New Orleans in some kind of way. 51 young ladies, they basically was able to get them tested some kind of way. And I think they found out that they all have HIV, you know? So I'm gonna read up a little bit more off of their website, but they were like blown away by that. I don't know how many people they got tested or how that worked, but 51 of them had HIV. These are all school-age girls, you know? So it's crazy, man. It's real crazy. It's real crazy, man. So talk to your kids about the power of abstinence, because that's the only thing that's effective, you know? It's the only thing effective. That's for boys and girls, you know? They tell you only live once. And some people live by that. But I'm gonna tell you this. What YOLO don't tell you is, a lot of people suffer before they go because of that whole YOLO mindset. Every deal ain't a good deal, you know? But tell you about Miss Mo. Miss Mo, I remember her fondly. She was high yellow. She always had a short hairstyle. She wasn't homosexual or bisexual from what I understood. She was divorced and she had 2 kids, Lil Mo and Karan. And we were raised like cousins, you know? So Miss Mo and my dad were partner at some point in their LE career, but she lived right down the street from us, you know? And I'm gonna tell you, man, Miss Mo was about it, man. She didn't take no crap off of nobody. It didn't matter how big, how little. She just was a no-nonsense, straight up, hardcore human, you know? Great, good as gold. I don't remember if it was Rescue 911 or, man, what was that other show? Rescue 911 or it had to be Rescue 911. But she did she actually did an episode. I don't think it was Cops, but I think it was Rescue 911. And they came down to New Orleans, you dig, and they walked around the mall and followed her a little bit around town. And it was really cool, man. Like, we was like, that was a big deal, man. That was like a big deal. Whatever this TV show was, it was comparable with Rescue 911. And some of y'all remember Rescue 911, but Miss Mo was on Rescue 911, whatever the show was. She was on that show, man. It was a big deal. And she was cool. I remember one time, her and my dad fought this guy on PCP. And excuse me, they fought this guy on drugs. And all I remember was my pops wasn't at work. And he had a cast. Damn, what hand was it on? It could have been on his right hand. He had a cast because he broke he either broke a few fingers or he broke he had to break his hand or a few fingers or his wrist. All I know is, man, we had a great time because he was home. And back then we used to try to pillow fight and wrestle with him. And it was always 5-on-1, you know? He always won. But it was just good times you remember as a kid. He probably don't even remember that. But as a kid, you know, I definitely remember that sun coming through the window on a Saturday morning, hopping on the waterbed to fight my dad. Man, I wouldn't trade that for nothing in the world, you know? But him and Miss Mo worked together. And when I was in the fire service, just being straight up with you, a lot of the guys didn't feel women should have that job. Some of them didn't feel it because they felt like the woman was the weaker vessel and that job would be too demanding on the family because you're gone for 24 hours and you're home for 48. So some of the guys didn't like that. They wouldn't want their wife to be gone and living in this little house with a bunch of hard legs, as they say offshore, you know. So some guys didn't like that women were there. Some guys didn't like the women that were there, because there was a double standard with most of them. Now, one of the young ladies, you know, I never said hello to, because as I was coming in, she was leaving out. She was definitely given preferential treatment, but that didn't bother me personally, because I didn't have to work with her, etc. And I was the new guy. Now, the other two ladies that I had the privilege to work with, I can't say nothing bad about. They handled their business, you know, and they excelled. They excelled at the department. But some of the guys, I remember being surprised. Some of the guys I really respected, they didn't really care for women there. And I think that when you have a job as dangerous as firefighting, I don't care if they're male or female. Personally, I just need you to show up and not quit when it's time to go. And what I mean by that is, there was a bunch of guys there that I didn't respect, because they were worthless to me. They were worthless, man. They were worthless to me, because they brought nothing to the table. They brought nothing to the table. They weren't trying to better themselves. They weren't trying to improve their skill set. They were lazy when we had calls. All they wanted to do was the limelight work. They didn't want to do the grunt work or the dirty work. You know, I didn't respect them. And I'm not ashamed to say that. You don't like everybody you work with. Well, try having a job where you know deep in your heart some of these guys couldn't save you if they needed to. And not because they weren't capable of it. They didn't want to. They didn't want to. You know? And one thing about it, all of those guys knew, number one, you wasn't gonna walk over me. I don't care what rank you are. I don't care how much of seniority you have on the job. I am a human being. Then I'm a man. And we're gonna get along good as long as you understand that. So I was not gonna let anybody walk over me, period, non-negotiable. And you shouldn't either. You shouldn't either. There's too many bullies, there's too much of hazing, and all of these barbaric rituals that go on jobs. That's just not good. So that shaped me also, because whenever we would get a new hire, I never called them rookie. Because yeah, they are a new hire. They're trying to be a rookie. Then they're trying to be a probational firefighter. And then they're trying to become a permanent firefighter. And then they're trying to be a professional firefighter. So there are degrees and levels to firefighting. But I never went at it and treated them like they didn't matter. I treated them like they were a team member from day one. Like they were essential personnel from day one. Because I wanted no division whatsoever when it was go time. And when I needed them to show up, I wanted them to show up. I didn't want them to have no animosity about anything with me. And so I chose to not perpetuate this whole rookie culture. Now in some houses, hey man, y'all do what y'all want to do. But for me, I wasn't trying to make a demarcation. I wanted them to know they were on a team. Now whether they prove themselves or not to the job and to the citizen, the resident who needed them, that was on them. But if you don't handle your business, you ain't got to worry about me getting in your way. You know, you could crash out like everybody else. But you had a lot of, and this is what I learned about the fire service. Like, if you get with a crew that you gel with and you mesh with, you're always going to enjoy your job more. But if you get with a crew that you don't gel with and mesh with, it's going to be miserable for you and everybody else. And I've seen a lot of guys get hired, and because they weren't popular with some of the crews that thought they walked on water, they didn't last long, you know. They didn't last long. Now and this is another thing about the job. You're 18 years old when you start, hypothetically, and you got a 50-year-old on the job. So you're at the most non-mature standpoint in your life at 18, and you got a guy that's 50 years old, an old man by standards, and y'all have to cohabitate. This 50-year-old has grandkids. You really think that 50-year-old is going to respect that 18-year-old as a man? Of course not. Of course not. So they want you to prove yourself and take crap off them and be their dish rag and all that other stuff, man. I'm a man, bro. That ain't gonna happen, cuz I'm a human before I'm a man. It's not gonna happen. So I didn't want to perpetuate that archaic, barbaric, regressive mentality. And I'm proud of myself for not doing that. You know, was I an altar boy? Of course not. I had fun just like everybody else. But when it was time to get it, Doucette wasn't never sitting down. I didn't want to talk about all that. But anyway, so Miss Mo was a good girl, you know? And she was one of those cops where she handled her business, you know? She handled her business. And she definitely earned her spot. I think I told y'all the story of what happened to her. So they have something called a detail, supplemental employment. And sometimes you might go to the Piggly Wiggly or Walmart and you see a cop there. Well, that's not their normal duty, but they're working their supplemental. That's extra, lanyard. So some departments are set up where you have to work 80 hours before you're able to work a detail. Some departments are set up where if you go to work a detail, if you were scheduled to work on your shift at the department, you can't go to the detail because you didn't go to work on your shift. So some kind of way, Ms. Mo got in a pickle, and I don't know any of this officially. This is just hearsay. I don't have the official story, but it is hearsay. But some of this is true, definitively. So she didn't report for duty on her job, called in sick, something like that. But later on that day, she was supposed to work a detail. So she went to her detail, and she didn't wear her whole uniform from what I was told. She just had on her bad shirt, you know, and her gun belt. So can't tell what book that is, but somebody don't like the Bible. So she went to work and worked the detail at a bar. So one of the patrons had a dispute with somebody, and he was asked to leave. So upon leaving, he made a few threats. Basically, he was going to get his gun, and he was going to come at a place out. And he came back in with his gun. I think Miss Mo fired one shot right between the eyes. All I know is, well, the one thing I do know, she defended herself and took the man out. And she got arrested for that. And they made an example out of her. And she went to prison. All right. She went to prison. And she wound up getting out. I think I saw her a few times after she got out. It kind of changed her. Man. She was true blue. I mean, you're talking about a single mom with 2 kids, who the police, who handled her business. You know, she was a great woman, man. She was a great woman. Great woman. Great officer. You know, and I thought about that. This is the same lady who had black eyes from fighting a dude with PCP in the projects. You know, the same lady that my dad always spoke highly of. You know, my dad didn't have a problem, and we talking about, like, you know, my dad didn't have a problem working with this female because she handled her business. The only thing my dad ever told me about working with a female in law enforcement, he said, naturally, because you're a man, you want to look out for them. And he said you could lose a few seconds trying to make sure they're good. But when he was with Mo, he didn't have that problem because Mo handled her business, you know? So I should have learned from Miss Mo, you know? I remember one time she had this little gold Ford Tempo, four-door. It was a little small car, about the size of a Honda Civic. And man, she always kept that AC blasting, you know? And this was before car seats and all of that. But I remember we was in that car with her, and boy, she smoked like a train, cuz. And man, my nose was running, my eyes was burning. And she was just lighting them suckers up. Lighting them suckers up, man. Well, Miss Mo, rest in peace, baby. She died a few years ago. And I think cancer took her out. They don't make them like that. And I'm saying a few years ago, it might be 10 years, you know? I don't know whatever happened to her oldest son, Lil Mo. His real name was Claiborne. But we called him Lil Mo. I think Karan, her baby boy, he died in a gun battle. You know? But that was my cousins, man. I don't know I never researched, you know, all of the particulars, you know, because I don't live that life. I ain't having gun battles with nobody. I'm not in the streets. I'm not a street dude. I'm a family man, you know. But she was a great woman. Trying to raise 2 bad boys on her own, you know. You don't have much time on this place we call Earth, so you got to make your days count. I guess homeboy got an eye problem or something. I'll be your huckleberry. You gotta watch out for them butt watchers, man. They be everywhere. They're everywhere, cuz. Here it is, you in that little fancy, either your mama or your grandma, little Mitsubishi, and you looking at my butt. Dude, you better go about your business, bro. Ain't nothing but pain and stick over, yeah. You heard me? I gotta keep it real for y'all, you know? Gotta keep it real for y'all, you heard me? See, that's one of the bad things about being hurt and walking through different neighborhoods. It's like I got a red bandana around my neck and I got my arm in it, well, my wrist in it. So I have my wrist kind of slung like a sling and swath. But that makes me look weak and vulnerable to nefarious individuals. But thought that was biker, man. But it makes me look weak to nefarious individuals, you know? But one thing about it, when I'm weak, when I'm weak, I'm a Spartan. Make no doubt. Ain't nothing weak over yonder. But that's the side I try to leave buried. Alrighty. So my battery just died. And I had to pull another one out. I'm trying to find a good fanny pack that is waterproof, durable, and not huge, because I enjoy bringing kit with me when I'm on an adventure. So I'm trying to find an appropriate fanny pack. It's the Harvard Canal right now. And these are the locks right over here. I ain't gonna lie, boy, this broken collarbone, it feels like I have a jagged bone that's just stabbing the back of my shoulder. It is the most you remember on that movie Dumb and Dumber, when he was like, do you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? And he started, well, that's what it feels like constantly. I think I'm about halfway there as well. Maybe a quarter of the way there. I think I'll be halfway when I get to the end of this street. I had a good bike ride today, man. I've been doing 20 miles in a little bit better than an hour. Excuse me, in an hour. So I've been riding a little faster. I'm under my 2 hour. But the only problem is I'm forgetting to log everything into my Strava. So Louisiana law says if you are a pedestrian, you must walk against traffic. So that's why I'm on this side of the road, even though there is no shoulder across the road. I have to walk against traffic. Not a problem, not a problem. Sabor Latino. Take a swig of this water. I'm really tired of carrying it, to be honest. Oh, shucks. I gotta stop all that dang wham-wham. It's a beautiful day. I could have walked on the expressway, but I would much rather avoid all of the traffic and potential altercations walking through so many hoods, you know. And also, when you're in public, this is just a little tip. This is just something I learned from being in urban settings or metropolitan areas with a high concentration of con artists, scallywags, vagabonds, and hustlers. And don't forget those that have a AMS, altered mental status. But what I learned is, when you're in public, if you hear somebody trying to get your attention, or they make a loud noise, there's a loud noise around you, don't look, just keep moving. And when you get distance between you and the noise, then look. Oftentimes folks will try to see their next victim or target. Hey, and then you turn around. Now they got your butt, you know? Just keep moving. Keep moving. Put some distance between you and the noise, and then assess the situation after that. It's a pro tip. Now guess what? If somebody scream car, run, fire, whatever, that might be a different situation where it may be advantageous to look, because it could be a little kid or a man or a woman that's about to be abducted. And if you turn around and look, you might at least get a license plate number, the make and model of the car, the direction of travel, etc. So there's always an exception to the concept. Other than my fingers being a little numb or tingly, tingly. My middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. Snake bit. I had a really good ride though. I was cooking actually. So I was making a swordfish curry, and I was making a beef stew, and the power went out while I was cycling. So yep. Finish strong, man. But I'm talking about finish strong. I still got 4 miles to go. So they said the power will be back on at around 7 o'clock. Alrighty. think I'm gonna cook somebody that I know some red beans, because they was all in their feelings. Rightly so. They do a lot for people. And I ain't never cooked necessarily while they were sick. So I'm gonna hook them up. So in this 7-mile walk to Chef House, I just hit the wall. You know that wall people talk about when you're trying to do something? I'm not hitting the wall because I'm physically tired. I'm hitting the wall of pain because of my injury. But I'll tell you this story. I oftentimes draw on it. There was some SEAL in this big battle. I don't think it was Fallujah or Khadijah. I don't know. But he gets shot all up. And enemy all around him. And this dude crawls on his belly because he can't walk. He crawls for 8 miles on his belly to safety. So when I have moments of, you know, I think of that. He was paralyzed, couldn't use his legs, so he crawled for 8 miles. I think I could walk 35 more miles. I think I could walk 35 more miles, maybe even 50. I could do 100 more miles because I'm hardcore. And pain reminds me of how hardcore I am, because you don't get the pain without putting forth the effort. That's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of where I'm at. Listening to that Trailblazer Pass, listening to that Trailblazer Pass reminded me of every car I ever had. All right, hola amigo, ¿qué pasa? Okay. It reminded me of every car I ever had and how all of them made noises. All of them made noises, you know? So I never listened to the radio because I always wanted to hear it break down. You know, and so I got pretty good. I knew it tapped when it needed oil, you know? I knew that the tire was about to blow because I had an egg when it would make a lump, 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 every time it rolled, you know. I was able to start diagnosing my automobile just by the sounds it made. Now, coincidentally and interestingly, my bike is the same way. I am so in tune with my bike. I know when something is wrong with it by the way it sounds or it doesn't sound. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. So when people be like, oh, I didn't know, I didn't hear nothing. You got that radio bumping, baby. That's why you didn't know. It's a nice ice chest, man. That's what I'm talking about, bro. You clean that ice chest up. some outdoor bleach. Clean that sucker up with some outdoor bleach. Like brand new. All you're gonna do is mess it up anyway with fish. I'm starting to get some good endorphins because I'm blocking the pain, even though it's there. I do this little thing right here with my arms because I try to circulate blood. I used to do that when I rode because sometimes I just be down too much. So I would try to work it out, you know. My mom's called. Biker gonna come get you up, pick you up. I said, nah. Well, Chef said you was, nah, I'm good. I'm good. See, people don't want to do hard stuff. And you know how it is. You go to the DMV and nobody's in a rush to wait on the people that are here to do business with the state. Like, you represent the state. You represent the state. The state makes all of these laws that burden people. And when people make a mistake or a bad decision, it becomes very expensive. And now they have to go see you. Or they can't get a hunting fishing license. They can't get a driver's license. Their whole life is in shambles now. And you're at work as if you're annoyed that people are here at the DMV. You represent the state. Get rid of all of the rules and nobody would ever have to go to a DMV, you know? Well, sometimes people don't want to do hard stuff. They're always looking for the path of ease. It's not good, man. It's not good. It's not good. The path of ease often leads to more problems that become big problems in a few years. So when you push yourself, when you lock in to the strongest you could ever be mentally, physically, emotionally, and you put all of that into action, it's the greatest stuff on earth. It's the greatest stuff on earth. Because you feed off of that. You're stronger than you think. You're tougher than you look. Get out there and conquer it. As they say, mind over matter. And as a matter of fact, most people that have a mind and they put it over matter, they develop a good core, good fundamentals. And those fundamentals will carry them a long way. A long way. Now you see, I'm gonna gap a little bit. Cause you see how this truck is in front of me? It could just be coincidence. But with them doors open, I either need to slow down and let them get out the truck and go where they're going. Because if it was somebody that was nefarious, that way I could let them make their next move. But what I do, keep walking full steam ahead. So gapping, I've talked about it in a video or two. Gapping is an effective technique. I'll tell you one time, 2 women gapped me. Man, it was cold. It was about 11 o'clock at night. I was in New Orleans right off a magazine. And I was walking down the street. I had on a beanie. I had on one of those Rambo green, olive drab army jackets. I had on some chef pants and some Birkenstocks. I was leaving a place where I was cooking at. And so I'm walking down the street to my truck. All the streets are one way. They had a bar on a corner and 2 ladies, they were smoking, walking down the street. And they spoke to me. And I've been mad at them ladies. I was mad at them ladies for about 30 years, you know? Because I was like, if it would have been daylight outside, they wouldn't have spoke to me, you know? And it really made me mad. It really did. I didn't tell them anything. But, you know, I thought about that for a number of years. And it kind of made me mad. But what they were doing was gapping. I'm not mad at them anymore. But they were gapping. They were trying to speak to me that I wouldn't do them anything. Now I understand what they were doing. But at the time, I didn't like being profiled. So just for all of you people that have an opinion, I didn't like being profiled. Young black male, city of New Orleans, 11 o'clock at night, walking down a dark street. And for all of you that's got something to say, don't say it, please don't. We don't even need to go there. After all, you're listening to me talk on my channel. It ain't nothing to talk about. You know, I don't need your point of view. This happened over 30 years ago. 20 years ago to be exact. It happened over 20 years ago. So, I'm at peace. But they were gapping. And they gapped my butt, I tell you that. This is an interesting piece of metal. Galvanized. I don't need that for nothing, but that would be nice to have. That would be nice to have. I'll be back in 30 years for it. So gapping is a technique that many people use whether they realize it or not. And gapping will prevent you from experiencing harm if done correctly, and if the person is not willing to, the nefarious person is not willing to put forth that much more effort. For example, if you get on an elevator, everybody likes to stand at the control panel. Because where I'm from, it's customary. If you get on an elevator, you go to the control panel to push your button. So most of the times, you'll just stand right there at the control panel. Well, when other people get on the elevator, they tell you what floor, you push the button. That's where I'm at, right? But if you gap, you'll go to the control panel, push the button, and then you'll go the opposite diagonal from the control panel. Now, if you have 2 control panels on the elevator, it's totally different. Totally different. But if you have 1 control panel on the elevator, you go to the opposite diagonal of that control panel. and you just stand there at the back of the elevator. There is no reason for one person that get on the elevator after you to walk to that spot you're in, because you got this whole elevator. You all the way away from the control panel. Don't nobody have business going to that diagonal where you're standing. So in essence, by you gapping, you remove yourself from a potential threat because you're not by the control panel. So there's no reason for somebody to walk up to where you are. Now, if you were standing at the control panel and somebody walked up to the control panel, that's different. They had to come by you and invade your space because you were at the control panel and they needed to push the button. They don't know you. They wasn't going to ask you to push the button of their floor. So when you gap, you try to remove as much of a hazard or a potential hazard. You're using forethought. You're being shrewd. You're using your brain. And I can tell you right now, I did not use mine. But I'm halfway there. So that's how gapping works. Oh, shucks. So gapping is effective. It can definitely help you to avoid calamity, problems, etc. Like when I turn this corner and as I'm walking, if someone is on the same side of the street I'm on and I see them, a few hundred yards away and I cross the street, to avoid contact with them, I just gapped. I just gapped. I just gapped. So that's kind of the whole concept of gapping. You remove yourself from a potential threat or situation. And so you could gap, you could gap at work, People gap all the time at the gym. They're looking at somebody and then when they look the other way. That's gapping, Somebody walk in the room, you don't want to deal with them, you leave out the other way. That's gapping. You at Walmart, you act like you don't see that person, and you know they there. But you act like you ain't see him. That's gapping. Something I do want to say. By me walking these 7 miles, it's giving me purpose, being that I'm injured. I feel like I'm accomplishing something. And so when I make it to my destination, that'll be my reward for pushing myself past a normal limit or boundary. Now I'm paying for it, but glory will be my reward. Oh, na na na, I can't stand it. Oh, yeah, yeah. See, everybody be rushing to buy firewood. But you see down the street, they got that nice oak tree. If you spent 30 minutes collecting that wood and storing it, you won't need to spend $7.99 on that green wood that they be selling at all them stores, you know? So, learn from the ant. Learn from the ant. He work year round. See, like this tree that's coming up on the left, I can't really see around that tree. So I don't know if somebody's on the other side of that tree, and I'd be daggum if I'm gonna let them pounce. So at some point, I'm gonna get out in the traffic, get out in the lane to give myself some distance. So that I can't be victimized. See how that guy talked to me? I ain't looking back. I ain't looking back. I ain't got a reason to look back. You know? And that's how you avoid trouble. But once you lock eyes, that's a wrap. You're inviting the person. It's like the school bully. You're inviting the school bully. And now he's going to try to bully you. And you don't want to be a bully. Be bullied. So, there you go. Principal's office. In school suspension. Detention. Okay, it's called backing up. Let's see what's for. They might want a little bit. So pay attention when you're walking. I heard the car stop and I heard them back up because they were rolling over rocks. So I was able to notice the change in sound. How you doing? Is the food good there? It's good? What's the best thing? Seafood. All seafood?
No, they got like hamburger steak,
Okay, okay. Thanks, boo. All right. Schnell's. I always wanted to try it. Never saw that pawn shop. Town pawn. I should have waited. All right. All right, so I'm in Marrero right now. I guess I got about 2 more miles to go. I would imagine I'm 5 miles in. Let's check the Strava. How you like that? How you like that? I'm 4.5 miles in, 4.52. Hour and 19 minutes. I'm walking at 3.44 miles an hour. Shoot. What I didn't realize, my phone screen was on. So I've been burning battery all this time. That ain't good. Try to step it up a little bit. And I don't know the actual mileage of this landmark, this milestone and all of that, but it just felt like I was about 2 miles out. Like in my head, that's what it felt like. What's up, man? Kind of zoned out for a little bit. here, man. Whew. A lot of blood in the soil right there. But it was like little Baghdad before I even knew what Baghdad was. But it used to be, they knocked it down and rebuilt these little homes. But shoot, there was a lot of blood in the grounds right now. That's the crazy thing about the street life, you know. It don't just affect you. This t-shirt is sweated out, man. This t-shirt had enough. If I didn't have this GoPro on, I wouldn't win no contest, but this sucker is sweated out, which is good. Which is good. We done hit the golden time of day. Well, the end of it, let me say that. Silver Lily. When I get the chef house, take my shoes and my socks off. I might even take off this dang shirt. Let me know in the comment section, what's the furthest you have ever walked? The furthest you have ever walked. Oh, shucks. So in some of the videos, when you saw my hand like this to the left of the screen, that's because I have it in a sling. Let me show you. So see, I got it in a sling like that. So that's why you may see my hand in the frame. 39% left on this battery. Either I'm walking slow or let's pick it up. Sun is beautiful. It's amazing how you can see 93 million miles away with them bad eyes, huh? Man, I saw a video yesterday. Somebody was down in, I think, Caddo Lake. And bro, they had a water moccasin swimming. That thing looked like an alligator. It was one of the biggest I've ever seen. It looked like an anaconda or a python. That thing was, I would not want to see that sucker in the woods. I'm telling you right now. One of us coming out. Excuse me. I'm coming out. I'm gonna be running. You know how it is when you be running and you still feel like that sucker on you. I want my mama. I want my mama. Oh yeah. Once I get past these buildings right here on the right, once the road kind of curves a little bit, I'm gonna be at my turn. I did that video, saw something online. I don't watch the news, I got to. But I think they got all except one inmate rounded up. If I understood the comment right. Man, the sunset would be amazing to see. I think I gotta go right past the tree line on the right. Right as it curves, hook a left, 1 mile to go. Or maybe I'm thinking 7, it might be 8 or 9. Oh no, it ain't 9. It ain't 9 miles away. When you hear me make that sound, that is the noise of It's like when you strike out, you know, just wah, wah, wah. Game over. Man, my trunks are soaking wet. What's up, Romano? All right. Westwood. Almost there. Man, they had a video of these firefighters laddered this multi-story structure. And I would imagine he was an equipment operator. He gets on a ladder, and the ladder is not, for whatever reason, I don't know, the ladder is not tall enough. There could be a lot of reasons for that. But this building is engulfed. You can't see that from the windows. A lot of smoke, black smoke billowing out. So there's 2 ladders on the building. And the one firefighter who's in full gear, he's on the right side ladder. And the one on the left side ladder, he looks like an equipment operator or just someone, maybe he's the 3rd unit in or something like that. He's not in bunker gear, but he's gonna try to rescue this guy. So typically, when you're doing a rescue, you want the top of the ladder to be underneath the seal, the window seal. But this ladder is a few feet from there, for whatever reason. I know there's a reason. So the occupant, the resident, for some reason, he's coming out the window. So we don't know. I can't tell if it's just him being impatient because of the process and because of what he's experiencing on his end. He sees the ladder. The ladder represents hope. He's coming out. I don't know if it's that or if he's just, I don't know. So he ended up falling to his death, man. The ladder buckled. So I don't know if somebody was spotting the ladder or what, but the ladder buckled, you know, and that guy fell to his death, man. And from all accounts, they say he was a stand-up guy, great member of the community, you know. Sad, man. That's a scenario we had talked about and trained for a lot of times at the station, you know. We trained for that a lot of times at the station. And we always knew that when you're in that situation where you're inside a building cooking or choking and you can't breathe, those people are coming out hot, man. They're coming out hot. So we've trained for that situation a lot. And we knew going into it, either a baby gonna come flying out or a human gonna be jumping out or a kid gonna be thrown out. So be ready to catch, you know? Be ready to catch. And I'm not saying that in any way to say the brave first responders who attempted to rescue this guy did anything wrong. I am not implying that one bit. One bit. I can only imagine right now the critical incident stress debriefing that they're having as a result of that call. I can only imagine what the firefighter is going through right now if he's blaming himself for not doing something correct. But I also know this, You got a no good sucker, a 2 or 3 or 4 or 15 at that department that's blaming him. And they small little sissy circles that they talk trash in, I know you got a few of them blaming him. You know? I know that for a fact. But if you're looking at this video, bro, it ain't your fault, man. Compartmentalize it, learn from it, go through the process, but get back to what you need to be doing quick, man. You already know, when we go to work and we do our best, that's all we could do. We don't play God. Not that it's God's fault. That's just a figure of speech. We don't play God. It's not up to us who live and die. We give people the best chance we could give them. That's why we respond. That's why we train. That's why we try to perfect the art and stay relevant to what's going on as far as tactics. That's why we don't get complacent. That's why we're always trying to learn how to better our craft and better ourselves. Firefighting is good and bad. And there's times when we take the good, and there's gonna be a lot more times when you take the bad. It would have been worse if you not showed up. You tried to get the guy out. You did everything you could. Something changed that. Something changed that. Something changed that. And if that man, if the deceased could talk, he'd let you know that he appreciate what you did do. So my turn will be coming up. I think I'm gonna have to change the battery one more time. All of those 16 ounces of water trying to come out the plate too. Man, with that old banged up ankle of mine, bro, it's so complicated walking on grades like this. I need flatland. Whew. That's right. We got about a mile left, maybe a mile and a half. We're at 589 right now. So we're gonna walk all the way to the end of this road in theory. I'm gonna cut once we walk across those lights. All right, what's up, man?
Taking you a walk, huh?
Yeah, bruh, trying to get it in.
All is good.
All right, my brother. feeling like I'm gonna do this, man. This breeze is really nice. Can't really make out. It's got to be coming out the south. South is straight ahead. It's got to be coming out the south because I didn't feel it coming out the north or the east or the west. So it's got to be coming out the south. And I know this is south because the river is behind me. That's north. I had a little bit of relief with his collarbone, not much, but it's back. It's back. I didn't even realize it stopped hurting until it started again. That is a huge cat, man. Golly. 20-pound cat. This look like a peacemaker coming right now. Probably not, but no, it's not. Blessed are the peacemakers. Nick's Cajun Cooking. Have to check old Nick out. I'm really optimistic about this surgery happening. That's a peacemaker there. I'm really optimistic about this surgery happening soon. And I can't wait for Thursday to get here fast enough. Blessed are the peacemakers. All right now. I tell you what, man. I love having a GoPro, and I love it being on my chest because it is a great deterrent for anything, really. Like me wearing this GoPro, it offers me protection and the ability to be protected, you know, because I could record content and my side of the story. Hang on one second, change the battery. Those batteries get hot, boy. I have a few more videos on this memory card or SD card that I need to upload so that I can free up the space. And so at some point I'm gonna work on that. I have a few videos that I'm not gonna upload, but I'm gonna put them on the desktop. So it's pretty exciting. I'm almost where I need to be. When I get where I'm going, there'll be more than happy tears. Now, the reason I'm not on the sidewalk is because I have a bad ankle. And I'm gonna cross over that way. That way I don't make cars have to get another lane. But I have a bad ankle, so I try to avoid unsteady terrain, like sidewalks and steep grades. You better slow that truck down, dog. Man, what is that dude doing? Man, that's reckless, bro. He crazy trying that in Westwego. He must know somebody out here. He must know somebody out here. Shit. You know, and I know you don't ride like that in Westwego. Not out here. Boy, that C10 was nice, man. That was like a 70. My grandfather has one. It's not operable. All right, let's cross this light. Come on, baby. Oh man, I'm about to bust. Right before I left the house, I drank 1.5 liters of electrolytes and water. And now that 16.9 ounce bottle of water. Shoot, I shouldn't walk down this street because I don't know if they have any dogs that are aggressive. Oh man. Let's go. Why are you acting like that? I don't know. I'm close to the finish line. I remember when I was in rookie school, we had to run 1.5 miles in like 16 minutes, something like that. And I am not a runner. I have ran a few miles in my life, but I don't think in my life I've ran over 1,000 miles. And I'm also considering like playing sports and running, you know, into that equation. But I could, I don't know. I didn't have Strava back then. But I used to run a little bit, non-sports, but I was never a runner. I always hated it. And I would run a few miles with one of my neighbors. All right, what's up, man? All right. When I was like 14, 15, something like that, we would run a few miles out the neighborhood. We'd run over a bridge, turn around and run back. But he was smaller than me, and he was feather light. So he always was a half a mile in front of me, you know? For some reason, we didn't run at the same pace, cadence, rhythm. I would have held him back. So, not a runner at all. And before going to rookie school, they had us doing just non-productive stuff at the station. So I'm like, look, man, let us start running. That way we can at least get our wind up and start building up some stamina and endurance. So he was like, good idea. But he didn't tell us that because he told us that because he wanted us to suffer. You know, and I was cool with that. If only I knew how much of suffering would come in the years to come. So, started running. Slimmed down, had a six-pack. You know, arguably. Brother-in-law said that's the only time I had to worry about it that he knew when I was in rookie school. I ate cornflakes and water for breakfast because I didn't really eat milk back then. So I would just put water on the cornflakes, cut a banana up, and that was breakfast. Whatever lunch they gave us, and then we'd eat dinner, whatever we bought. And slimmed down. I felt great. Felt great. But I feel better at 43 than I felt at 26, 27. It's amazing how that works. Whew. It's amazing how that works. And all of that self-discipline that I earned and gained, I let it all go when I got in the station. I kept on to it for maybe 2 or 3 years, you know, like polishing my boots, you know, looking sharp. But then at some point, it's just like, game over, baby. I'm a city fireman. This is how we roll. It's not a pretty job. I don't need to worry about having an earned shirt. Man, all I need to do is get on this truck and handle my business when the taxpayers call. Forget what I look like, you know. A lot of guys like, oh, you need to look like this, but all on belly was 3 feet out, you know. Like, man, shut up. You think this collared shirt makes you look professional? No, having a warrior body makes you look professional. And if you don't have a warrior body, when that tone go off, handling your business is what makes you look professional. Cutting them out the car is what make you look professional. Showing up, being professional is what makes you look professional. Not what you look like. Firefighters back in the day fought fire in blue jeans with a rag over their nose, you know. That worked great. That worked great. They also let them drink a little bit at work. That worked great too. You know? Can't do that no more. Everybody want to sue everybody. Well, some people do it. But 43, I'm in the best shape of my life. For the shape I'm in, as my boy DL say. And I'm almost there, baby. This is what I'm talking about. Persevere, push, crawl, get there. And that's how you pedal hard, that's how you stay hard, that's how you finish strong. Hey, you being recorded too. How you like that? So that's where we at. Oh man, let's go. Oh man, I'm gonna have to turn this video off because if they don't open up that door fast enough, I'm gonna pay my water bill right on myself. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channels. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and all other platforms. And I'm gonna see y'all at the next one.